It was supposed to be one of the happiest, most emotional days of the entire season. Senior Day. The final home game at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. A day fueled by celebration, family, pride, and years of hard work leading up to this moment. You could feel the excitement everywhere. Walking across campus, passing tailgates, hearing students laugh and shout as they got ready for the last big game of the season. That morning, the sun had barely risen, but the energy was already building. Families were arriving early, wearing green and gold, hugging their seniors, taking pictures outside Protective Stadium. Players took their time getting ready, wearing that mix of confidence and nostalgia that only Senior Day brings. It was supposed to be perfect. One of those days people remember years later. But while the campus was waking up with excitement, inside one building, not even a 2-minute walk from the stadium, something completely different was unfolding. Inside the UAB Football Operations Center, there was a tension growing beneath the surface. Nothing obvious, nothing anyone outside the walls could see. But inside, something felt off. Players filtered in like they always did, backpacks on, headphones in, greeting each other with the usual handshakes and inside jokes. Trainers were taping ankles. Coaches were reviewing notes. Music echoed through the halls, regular game day energy. But in one corner of that building, a tiny spark, something small, maybe a comment, maybe a disagreement, shifted the whole atmosphere. Sometimes a room feels completely normal, until suddenly it doesn't. And in that moment, inside those walls, something turned. Words escalated, voices tightened, and before anyone truly understood what was happening, a confrontation erupted. What was said? Who moved first? What sparked it? Investigators still haven't revealed those details. But what we do know is this. Everything escalated fast. Too fast. In seconds, 2 UAB football players went from standing among teammates, preparing for one of the biggest games of the season, to collapsing on the floor, injured and bleeding. The shock that ripped through that building was immediate. Teammates froze. Then, chaos exploded. Some players sprinted to get help. Others tried to help the injured. A few grabbed their phones and dialed 911 with trembling hands. Coaches ran out of their offices. The music stopped. The entire building flipped from routine game day prep to pure panic in a matter of moments. Sirens echoed across campus as emergency responders and campus police raced to the scene. They entered a place that was never meant for something like this. A place meant for film sessions, strategy meetings, and pre-game speeches, now turned into a crime scene. Paramedics treated the 2 injured players and rushed them to UAB Hospital. Police began locking down rooms, separating witnesses, and trying to piece together what happened. But amid the chaos, one detail became clear almost instantly. This wasn't a random attack. This wasn't some unknown threat wandering onto campus. The person responsible was a teammate, another player on the UAB football roster. A young man the team had trained with, traveled with, laughed with. And now, he was being placed in custody for stabbing 2 of his own. The suspect was identified as 20-year-old Daniel Mincy, a redshirt freshman offensive lineman. Big guy, 6'4", over 300 pounds. On the roster, but barely known outside the locker room. He had transferred from the University of Kentucky earlier that year, but hadn't played a single snap for UAB that season. To most fans, he was just a name on the depth chart. But that morning, his name became the headline no one saw coming. By early afternoon, Mincy was officially booked into the Jefferson County Jail. The charges? Aggravated assault and attempted murder. Not minor charges, not misunderstandings. Attempted murder means investigators believed the act was intentional. Whatever happened inside that room, Police believed it crossed a line that could have ended lives. Meanwhile, the two injured players were stabilizing at the hospital. Doctors described their injuries as non-life-threatening, which offered some relief. But the emotional weight on the team and the campus was huge. This wasn't just an injury. This was a traumatic event inside one of the most trusted environments for athletes. A place meant to feel like a second home. As news began to spread, Protective Stadium was already filling up. Fans, families, students, most had no idea what had happened just a short walk away. But UAB officials and law enforcement now had a massive decision to make. What do you do about the game? There's no playbook for 2 players were stabbed this morning. Do you postpone? Cancel? Continue as planned? Emotions were high. Players were shaken. Some were crying. Coaches were trying to figure out how to lead a team through one of the hardest moments of their careers. But after talking it through, after thinking about the seniors who had waited years for this day, the team made a painful but determined decision. They would play. Not because everything was fine, not because they wanted to ignore the tragedy, but because senior day mattered. Because for 29 seniors, this was their final moment to step onto the field they had dedicated years of their lives to. And the team wanted to honor that. When UAB took the field that afternoon, everything looked normal on the surface. The crowd cheering, the announcer's voice booming, players in uniform. But anyone close to the team knew nothing about this game felt normal. Some players didn't dress. Some couldn't bring themselves to play. Others took the field with heavy hearts, trying to focus while knowing 2 of their brothers were lying in hospital beds. UAB lost the game 48-18, but the score didn't matter. Not that day. After the game, interim head coach Alex Mortensen spoke with reporters. You could hear the emotion in his voice. He said he was grateful the injured players were stable, and he explained that the team wanted to compete for their seniors. He praised the players who stepped onto the field, saying they showed courage and class during one of the hardest days the program had ever faced. But the biggest question still hung in the air. Why? What caused a teammate to turn on his own? Investigators didn't release a motive. Not then. Not in the hours afterward. People speculated. Maybe there was a personal conflict. Maybe something had been building for a while. Maybe frustration or stress pushed someone too far. But none of that was confirmed. The truth was still locked behind closed doors. The emotional shockwaves spread across the campus. Students couldn't believe what had happened. Faculty worried about their players. Rival teams reached out with support. Social media buzzed with questions, prayers, and confusion. UAB's counseling services were activated to help students and athletes process the trauma. And for Daniel Mincy, the legal consequences were real. Attempted murder is a Class A felony in Alabama, a charge that can carry decades in prison. His football career was effectively over. His future shattered in a single morning. For the 2 injured players, recovery would take time, not just physically but emotionally. Returning to that facility, seeing that hallway again, hearing the echoes of that day, none of that would be easy. And for UAB as a whole, the incident became a reminder that even in environments built on discipline, teamwork, and unity, violence can still erupt from within. A reminder that the people wearing jerseys are still human beings dealing with stress, pressure, and conflicts, sometimes hidden behind smiles. In the end, this senior day, meant to be a celebration of careers and accomplishments, became something else entirely. A day the university will remember for years, not because of the score, not because of the plays on the field, but because of the fear, the shock, and ultimately the strength of a community that refused to break. So now I want to ask you, if you were in charge that day, would you have canceled the game? Do you think the team made the right decision by playing? And what do you think truly happened inside that facility before everything went wrong? Let me know your thoughts. And if you want more stories told like this, real events, real people, and the hidden moments between the headlines, make sure you like the video and subscribe. Stay safe, stay aware, and take care.